Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk with you about this coffee that you've been talking about all over Instagram,
All
teasing me
over
because how you
Instagram.
got me addicted. And I'm
I
finally
know.
ready for mine, and it's
I
taking
know.
forever.
I'm so sorry. I so badly wanted to be on this podcast and you'd already have yours so we could do a podcast cheers on,
Oh,
I
cheers.
know, on Instagram for
Oh
a
my God,
boomerang. I'm so sad.
well, let everyone know who you are and what you do before we get started.
Absolutely. So my name's Emily Morrow. I currently live in Flower Mound, Highland Village area of Texas. I am a nutritional therapy practitioner. I got certified back in November of 2018, so pretty new. And I do all the things. When people ask me what I do, I swear I have 8 or 9 jobs, but keeps me busy. I enjoy it. I mean, nutrition is the foundation, but everything from web design on the side to skincare consulting and, everything in between. So I enjoy it. I love being busy. I love helping people. And it's allowed me to connect with amazing people like you. So.
Yes, ditto. I mean, I feel the same way. I'm obviously see nutrition clients, but I do make my own supplements, but then I also do this. I'm a mom and the list goes on and on
Exactly.
and on and
Yes.
on. So I know that one of your ventures is this company, Organo. And so as we dive into it, you kind of turned me on because you said it was coffee, which with me not being able to do I don't want to say caffeine because before we started recording, I said I can usually do pre-workouts and matcha and even caffeinated tea is just fine. But something about coffee really gets me. But you turned me on because I know there's reishi mushroom in it. And so tell us a little bit about this coffee, what brought you to it, why you just decided to try it.
Yeah, for sure. So it's funny because you're doing exactly what I did. I, for the longest time, called this company Oregano.
You said it wrong.
I did it for the longest time.
Organo?
And Organo, but then even sometimes I was calling it Organo. I'm like origami. I think origami, Organo. So I believe it's pronounced Organo. I think Organo.
What did I say? Oregano, like the
Oregano, yes. And I
Don't
did
worry,
that too for so long.
I called wait, hold on. I called cayenne pepper, Kanye pepper for the longest time. Until someone finally had the courage to correct me, and I'm just notorious for pronouncing things wrong. So.
Oh, me too. No worries at all. No worries at all. Organo. So how I found out about it, I have been seeing, and I think I mentioned this last time I was on the podcast with you, a phenomenal functional medicine doctor that is based in Flower Mound, Texas, Dr. Todd. It's a really long last name. I call him Dr. Todd Ozzie. Everyone that follows me on Instagram knows Dr. Ozzie. He's phenomenal. His practice is completely faith and spiritually led, and you can tell just from the second you walk into his office that his main goal in his practice is to genuinely help people. He's not in it to be schemy. He's not in it to make extra money. You can tell and feel in his practice that he's here to help. So back in, I want to say April or May, I went and I had a lot of liver tests done. I was having just a lot of health issues that weren't getting any better. And I just finished the autoimmune paleo protocol, made me feel a little bit better, but my liver enzymes on my blood work were just through the roof. And so at one of my visits with Dr. Ozzie, he suggested that I start implementing spores, Ganoderma spores. And at this time, I knew no idea about what they were. I didn't even know at the time that it was part of a reishi mushroom. He just said, I am using this in my practice to help treat my cancer patients, my HPV patients. These spores, it's the biggest superfood that we know, and there's 3,000 plus PubMed studies on everything it can do. So I'm like, okay. I mean, he could tell me to take a supplement that I would have no idea what it was, and I would do it. So I took them, and my liver enzymes dropped down finally from in the 100s to 27 and 28, just from adding these Ganoderma spores. And then I started asking him more questions, and he's like, well, they also have the spore powder in coffee. And I'm like, well, coffee and me don't jive well. It gives me just anxiety, and I'm up all night. I have insomnia. And he's like, well, just give it a try. And if you don't like it, you can bring it back to me. So I drank the coffee for 30 days straight every morning. And at the time I used the black coffee, and I felt amazing. My back pain started going away. I started having more energy. just my mood throughout the day was better. And I'm like, there's definitely something to this. And you drank the black coffee, right? That's the one you tried?
King. I tried King.
King. And I love both. King's probably my favorite, but I've tried Four Sigmatic. I've tried these other reishi based coffees, and none of them made me feel this way. And none of them had that true coffee taste. Would you say the same thing?
Yes, definitely
Okay.
true coffee taste. And I felt the same way. So I only did it for 4 days because you gave me 2 satchels.
Yes.
And so I was splitting them up because in your recipe, it made 2 cups. And I usually have 1 cup. So I use like half of one for 4 days. And I was going through, I mean, I go through waves, and I think it's business. I think it's life. I think it's kids. But some days, like I go months, I'm like, I feel like great. And then I get really hardcore months where I just feel really stressed out. And right, that's the season of life. And so I was in one of those stages. And so I was drinking that for 4 days straight, and like, I could just tell a difference. And that's really the only thing that I feel like I introduced that was different, that it literally went very drastic from like, I mean, I don't know, when my body is like stressed out, I'm very weird. I get the weirdest symptoms. Before we moved to Texas, I literally had a rash like on my upper lip, like just random stuff. And I actually just, I don't know, after drinking it, I knew it was that. Like, I mean, I take ashwagandha, I take all these other things, but for some reason I just knew it was that. So I was like hooked.
Yes, I know. I'm hooked on the taste. I'm hooked on the benefits. And when I kind of dove even more into it, and we'll touch on a little bit like what the spores really are, but he is even using it in children, with autism. And in my IGTV with him, if people want to go and watch that, he talked about one of his patients that's a 9-year-old who had severe eczema and just chapped and bleeding hands, didn't even want to show him. And he put her on the Ganoderma spores, and it's about 90% healed just from introducing the Ganoderma spores. It's just, the studies alone are phenomenal. And with Dr. Ozzy, he said, share. Like, everybody should have this in their medicine cabinet because it promotes healing. It can prevent cancer. It promotes healing. So I love it. And I love that it's helping so many people. It's helping people with diabetes, which blew me away. I've dove into even more research on PCOS because it actually blocks one of the reductase enzymes that can cause negative effects with PCOS. It supports adrenals, thyroid. I mean, it's phenomenal. And it comes in beverages where people are getting this therapeutic dose of Ganoderma without even really thinking about it because it's just there.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell us a little bit of the difference of, okay, so there's the reishi mushroom and then the spores. So I would love to hear health benefits of both. And then where the spores, I know you kind of mentioned they were a little bit more superior than the mushroom itself.
So Ganoderma is just really another name for reishi. In other countries, they term it as Ganoderma. That's just the proper name. But here in North America, they call it reishi mushroom. That's kind of what we know it as. So they're one and the same. They're the same thing. When we're talking about a Ganoderma mushroom, there's different parts of it. So the Ganoderma is actually going to be the seed. It's kind of how the mushroom replicates. So it's going to be the most potent part. So kind of what Dr. Bob has relayed to me when I asked him, okay, so what's the benefits of each? What do they do? Why is one superior to the other? And basically he said, well, the spores are how the mushroom replicates. The lucidum is the flowering part of the mushroom. So it's good for all the same things as the spores. It's just not as potent. And they even have on the website that the Ganoderma lucidum is 17 times less potent than the spores. So they do the same thing, but the spores are 17 times more potent. And if you look at a lot of reishi-based products on the market, well, one, it was probably artificially harvested, but it's 17 times less potent because it's the lucidum form. So then you have the mycelium, which is the root system of the mushroom. And that's basically, it's genetic for brain chemistry. So it does help take some people's inflammation away. The mycelium does seem to help some people in that regard. But Dr. Bob said in his practice and in everyone they've introduced this product to over the past 7 years, the spores is always the go-to.
Interesting. And so the spores is what, see, like, is that the part that, like, I don't know, is it like pollination, I guess? Is that what kind of spreads and makes more like the mushroom?
They basically said that the Ganoderma spores has this really hard outer shell, like a very hard outer shell that has to be cracked. And it actually takes 5 to 7 months of 2,000 pounds of spores to make 2 pounds of spore powder. So like it has this
kind of like
outer
essential oils.
Yes. So it has this outer shell, and it has a 99.9% shell crack ratio. So that's just this company, Organo. Like that's there. So it's 99.9% bio extraction, like Nutra availability. And they, like the spores are honestly like prized in other countries. Like people would try to get them and like could get their like heads chopped off if they had them. And like, yeah, like they're like worshipped in other countries. And so, yeah, these spores are protected by this hard outer shell. And so they actually have to go about like actually crushing and cracking the shell very carefully and condensing it into this really fine powder. And that's what they put in the spore powder capsules. And that's what they put into the King coffee. The rest of the beverages contain the lucidum powder. So,
okay.
yeah. And it's the only one that, like, so once you crack the outer shell and you get that spore powder, it's the only one that's a 100% organic Ganoderma mushroom spore powder. And they have a patent on that. So whoever created this is brilliant. Because
is there any other spore powders on the market?
I looked, yes, there's tons of Reishi out there, but again, as he said, like because the demand is so high, Reishi is about to explode. It's like a 2019 and 2020 trend. When the demand is high, competitors come in and try to produce it, but they're doing it in these most of them, I can't speak for all companies, but most of them are doing it in that artificial harvesting bag. And it's not the actual spore powder. It's the lucidum powder. And they cannot harvest it in the same way Organo does because they have the patent. The only one I found, so Four Sigmatic has a Reishi product, but it's only one. And it's like a spore. It's
that's the best.
For everyone that isn't seeing us right now, my dad just opened up my door and was like pointing downstairs like someone's at the door, and I'm like, no, I'm podcasting. He looked at me like, what is a podcast?
Do you know how many times I never used to record video, which is funny, but I like it because it's just real, like real life.
Yeah.
Whatever, it happens. But I remember when I would just do audio and my daughter would come in and she'd still be in her diaper. She's like,
yeah,
I pooped. And I'm like, and like I was the only one there to change her. My husband was like out of the house. And so I remember like, yeah, and like changing her diaper and then
that is so funny. Yeah. He's like looking at me like there's someone. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do. The stuff's on the porch. Like the reason why is people are coming over because I've been making pecan butter. I think I told you that. And so people are wanting to pick it up. And so I have like their pecan butter on the porch with like a tag with their name. And it's there, but they probably like don't see it on the porch or something. But hopefully they'll figure it out.
You got to put a sign on your door that says, sorry, I'm podcasting.
Yes, please. I'll be back in 30 minutes. But yeah, no. So I looked online for other options. I know Root and Bones sells a reishi powder. I've used theirs. I've used Mountain Rose Herbs before, but one, wasn't a huge fan of the taste of those, to be honest. Really strong. Doesn't taste like coffee to me. I had a hard time adding it into my life. And I believe the only other one I've seen of spore powder, and I don't know how they harvest it or produce it or if it's in enough of a therapeutic dose, is Four Sigmatic. But it's not like a drink. It's like a teaspoon thing you add to coffee. And it seems to be more expensive from what I remember.
Okay. Yeah. So my next supplement that's coming out is a stress one, and it's going to be adaptogen safe for breastfeeding moms.
Oh, awesome.
Not just for breastfeeding, but it is safe because I know that's usually, I don't know, it's a crazy time of your life after you have kids. And so I just want to be able to provide that. But I am using Reishi mushroom, and I am using the guy that makes it is Namex, and he was actually on my podcast quite a while ago, and he's been doing like growing mushrooms, like, you know, in their natural habitat for years, like so long. So I am using him because I know the quality is there. But again, that's not the spore powder. That's just mushroom powder.
It's been, I haven't seen the spores much, and you know, maybe there will be more out there, but there will be no one that will be able to do it in the same sense that Organo has because of the patent. And I think they also are getting a patent on how they infuse the powder into the products of itself.
Okay.
So, because I mean, there's a ton. I talk about the coffee a lot, but there's soap. So they have Ganoderma soap that also contains grapeseed oil extract. They have, which I've been drinking lately, like Phoenix energy drinks. So that has Ganoderma in the energy drinks, which I love. Peach mango, really good taste. They have protein powder with grass-fed whey concentrate. So I
do
know.
love
Yeah.
that the king is really simple too. It's just
Yes,
simply coffee and the
exactly.
powder. There's really nothing else. I know that you said that there's like mocha and there's all these other flavors, but some of the ingredients are okay. So if you were just, I mean, I make my own lattes anyway. I put extract and stuff. So I just find that I can make it taste just as fancy without,
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of the people that are in our health and wellness space, probably people that listen to your podcast, they're already living a pretty healthy lifestyle. They're going to look at those coffees and be like, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of the latte and mocha ingredients. Totally respectable. Will I use the mocha and latte? Probably not, because you and I already drink and eat pretty healthy, but they are a great bridge. And I've always said this, a great bridge and alternative for the people having fast food every day with the Starbucks Frappuccinos with artificial ingredients, and being able to add in a simple latte with a therapeutic dose of Ganoderma that counter affects actually the negative side effects. And they've done multiple test trials to where they'll give someone a hot chocolate or a latte with sugar, and it doesn't raise their blood sugar at all due to the Ganoderma. So, I mean, when people are looking, I think that's always important to mention at these ingredients. Would I personally use them because of the ingredients? No, I'd rather use the black or the king, make my own latte. But again, it's a good bridge for people that are, not having them go from McDonald's to a full paleo diet.
Yes, totally. So what are some of the health benefits that you find? So I know you kind of just mentioned and like talked about them throughout the podcast so far. But what are some, like a list of it, as well as conditions that you feel like you've seen like tremendously helped by it? So I know you mentioned eczema, cancer, diabetes.
So I'll start with just a list that I actually have here on my phone, because it just, every time I look at it, it blows me away. But basically balancing blood sugar and helping with pancreas, protecting against skin cell degeneration, improving skin texture, reducing appearance of fine lines, and reducing appearance of aging, helps eliminate toxins from the body, increase metabolism, fight and inhibit free radicals, unclog arteries, and support liver function and detoxification, reduce fatigue, improve sleep, help recover from workouts, improve digestive system. There is like just this long list. Strengthen immune system, regulate blood sugar, balance cholesterol, provide energy. So that list is like on and on and on and on. Yes. And one thing I think I've noticed personally is mood. Yes. Back pain. Yes. But Ganoderma actually promotes GABA, and it actually helps you get into a deeper sleep quicker, faster, and like more in depth. So I know a lot of people that added in have said, I dreamt for the first time last night, and I haven't dreamt in 3 years. Like I woke up and could remember every part of my dream. Yes.
People don't dream.
Well, a lot of people don't dream. I ask that in a lot of my consultations, and people are like, I don't remember my dreams. And that just means they're not getting into a really restful sleep. I mean, that could be one of the reasons. And I have been having the most vivid dreams since being on Ganoderma. Like I'll wake up and be like, I could have written down everything that just happened.
Yes.
In my dream. And it used to take me a long time to fall asleep. I'm so type A, my mind races. Yeah. And I now get in bed and my head hits the pillow and it's like I'm out and I sleep like a rock. So that's been probably the biggest noticeable side effect for me.
That's awesome. I get like that too. I go through stages again, like where there's so much to do. My mind's racing. I'm always thinking. And then times like right now, this past week, I go to bed and I'm out. And I love it because you wake up so refreshed.
Exactly.
That makes me so sad. Like people seriously struggle with sleep. They struggle, which is crazy because that is in your REM and that's in important parts of deep sleep.
Exactly.
Even though some of my dreams are dirty.
I own it. It's so cool too, because there's a Facebook group that Dr. Bob has created to allow just customers of Organo or people that are interested in Organo go in there and watch videos. And we actually did a webinar the other night. And if any of your listeners want access to that, they can reach out to you or me. But he just goes into the actual PubMed studies and in depth about Organo and the Reishi mushroom, and shows testimonials of true real life testimonials of people's like skin changing and getting off medication and getting off metformin, and it's mind blowing. And then there's this whole Facebook group with thousands of testimonies where you can just put in the search bar like thyroid, and it has all of these things of people with Hashimoto's and how it's basically gotten them off of their Synthroid. I mean, it's amazing.
So I know too that I should mention it at first. So Reishi, and I feel like every part of spores, every part of Reishi is a very great adaptogens, helping our bodies adapt to stress.
Exactly.
And I feel like a lot of people don't realize how much stress is a killer, right?
Yes.
I mean, diet is very important. I mean, all that stuff is important. But I feel like one of the most underutilized wheels in our, healthy lifestyle is like adapting to stress. And
Totally.
I don't know, when I'm stressed, that stresses me more out because I'm like,
Oh,
I know how bad it is for your body.
Yes. And sometimes we don't even perceive it. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of your listeners are women, correct? Yeah. And, just the stress of having to uphold or fulfill to societal expectations alone, that just eats at us. I mean, I know I struggle with that occasionally, just comparing myself to other people, feeling like I need to meet certain expectations for myself and my business and provide, especially owning your own business, and just not feeling like you're enough. That stress alone just eats up. And then when you tag along, like trying to meet other people's expectations and needs, and if you have kids or if you have family members that need help, or just through stressful times, lack of sleep, intense workouts, I mean, sometimes it can be eating us up inside and we're not even recognizing that stressor.
Yeah. I'm very thankful that my body lets me know when I'm just really stressed out. I couldn't imagine I don't know, that be your normal feeling and you just don't even realize that you're stressed out. Because I know when I'm like, all right, I need to slow down. I'm just taking on too much, and I just need to take a step back and get in the Bible and just relax.
Exactly.
And self-care, little routines, hiking, getting out in nature, things like that. Yes. So I'm very appreciative that my body lets me know that, but it's always the worst, things like heart palpitations are never comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always trying to get adaptogens and everywhere I can. Supplements, now a drink. I just think that's so beneficial.
I so agree. I love that you said dig into the word. That's been something I've implemented, and just this idea of gratitude and daily thanks and digging into just maybe one verse of scripture, it can totally change your entire day. And maybe it's waking up 5 minutes earlier. Like now I so look forward to my morning routine. I'll go downstairs, I'll make my coffee. It took me forever to get past the idea of it being just an instant packet. You open up, add to hot water and stir. I'm like, wait, this is instant? How is this going to taste good? But I'll do that, or I'll make my Ganoderma latte with it, sit down with my Bible, a journal, and just reflect. And maybe 3 things I'm grateful for. Have you seen Rachel Hollis's daily Start Today journal?
No, I have not, but
it's
I know
awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. She's great. I actually purchased one. I have it over on my counter, but it lays out, if you're I don't know where to start, you can get her Start Today journal, and it just has kind of like a template for, 3 things you're grateful for, writing down your goals, and just daily thanks and gratitude. So I'll sit there, do that with my coffee, and I swear my days have been so much better just because of the adaptogen nature of the coffee, plus just getting my mind right. So the past 5 months focusing on that has made such an impact, and I've been more successful and productive in my business as a result.
Ditto. So I want to kind of go into, I know we talked about this over Instagram, I think, is that Organo is a multi-level marketing company. And I know I kind of shared my viewpoint with it, which honestly, a lot of listeners know I'm so anti, they can ask me that, and I will be straight up, be like, I don't like them, because I think most companies make crappy products and then they sell them for really high prices. I know Beauty Counter is one of the ones that I do love, because I appreciate their mission, and I appreciate, how they combine science with being non-toxic, and, safety is a big priority to them. And so this is another company that I also love because I love the product. And even though it's a higher price, I am okay with that just because I buy supplements all the time. And I will buy expensive ones if it feels a difference, if it's worth it. But I know that you said you kind of get a little bit of pushback sometimes when people find that out. So tell me a little bit about, the experience with that.
I am with you on that. I am very anti-MLM when really in general, because of the structure of the way a lot of them are designed. And when I've dove into different MLMs and you're required to sell or post or maintain a certain status quo, I don't agree with that. I appreciate Beauty Counter's mission. I'm also a consultant. I love the discount for myself. I love the advocacy. I love that they're doing it right. And you also don't have to meet a certain monthly threshold to maintain consultant status, which I love, because there are months where I'm too busy to invest my time in Beauty Counter. Life is busy and life happens. But there are plenty of other companies that I've been approached by network marketing where you do have to maintain a certain thing. And in order to get paid, you have to do this and this and this, and people do it to get paid. That's why they're in networking sales.
Yes.
And if you're not in it to get paid, if you're in it because it's a quality product or it's helping people, I think it's good. I'm all for supporting others. I support a friend that sells Norwex. I think Norwex is fabulous. It's amazing. It's the cleaning towels that it's so easy. You just wet the towel and you clean it. I buy from her all the time. I love Organo, and the reason why I decided to join to this company is the whole thing is healing, sharing a cup of coffee to heal. That's one thing. The second thing is anybody can go on for $49 a year and get wholesale prices, which means you can get a serving of black therapeutic Ganoderma coffee for 60 cents. So it's actually way cheaper than anything else out there. And you also don't have to sell. Like, people can pay that $49 for a year and just get wholesale prices for the whole year. Now, if you decide, I want to share this with my family and friends for the benefits because it's a quality product, you can make commissions off of that. But the companies just set forth, that's up to you. So I waited 6 months before I decided to join wholesale. I was just purchasing from my functional medicine doctor. But I even asked him, how do you feel about it being an MLM and a network marketing? He said, this cup of coffee is healing, and it's treating cancer, and it's preventing so many diseases that I have no problem sharing it. And he said, share, heal, heal, heal. And anytime someone asks him, he said, that's my goal for it. If I don't make a penny, that's okay. And that's kind of where I'm at. If I don't make a penny off this, doesn't matter. I just want this in people's medicine cabinet because I think it's so powerful.
Yeah. I'm definitely the first person to be steered away from any type of product. But I also told you too, like, I hate the education part. Usually from a lot of companies out there, Young Living and doTERRA are probably my worst ones, just because there's so many people that sell it, but they're just not properly certified. And I just hear, like, just put on all the oils, just use an oil, which it's better than, something else. But they're not even taking into consideration interactions, ages, safety. It's a very potent thing, just like the spores. So I appreciate that there's functional medicine doctors behind it.
Yes, both Dr. Bob and Dr. Ozzy are all for just every webinar they do, everything they post, they'll actually link the PubMed studies, like in the comments or in the post below it. Like, everything is driven by research and proven studies.
Nice.
I love that you brought up the thing about Young Living, because there is not just Young Living, but essential oils in general. I feel like there is a lack of education around that.
Yeah.
Something I learned recently is from what I've heard from someone in a study, you never want to diffuse or use lemon essential oil if you have a toddler under the age of 1, because it can actually interfere with their brain chemistry and eyesight.
Yeah.
That's not out there. There's no education around that.
Oh, no, never. The usage, especially with kids, is like so. That's why one of my most popular blog posts on my site is why not to use these and On Guard on kids. And I just think it's so funny because I get the craziest messages in my chat box of people like, do I need to take him to the hospital? I'm like, no, you don't got to take him to the hospital. But like, I don't know, there's so many people that are just misinformed. And so I feel like a lot of it too, with other even nutrition companies, a lot of people are uneducated and they're just like recommending these supplements just because they make money off of them. And maybe they do feel great and they do want to share it, but I don't know. I just feel like there needs more restrictions, especially when it's something that you're recommending to someone and you don't have like the proper training.
Yes. I'm really learning that right now with the hemp exploding. Hemp is exploding right now. And I've been contacted by probably 5 or 6 networking CBD companies. I won't touch them. One, the processing, awful of all of them. The processing is terrible. And I wrote that blog post on CBD oil and 5 criteria I think everyone should look for. I don't mention the company I use on that blog post or on my social media because I don't want it to be a sales pitch, but they're the only ones I found doing it right. And someone posted.
Are they network marketing or are they just a company?
It's just a small company out of Colorado that I've spoken with the owner, and they even run out of stock on their oils often because they use the full 2-week air dry time with supercritical sound emulsification CO2 extraction. And, you know, a lot of these other companies are taking shortcuts and using dry ice, and they don't list that on the website. They're not providing test results. Someone posted this long thing about how this company was so great. And of course, you know me, I called the company and I'm like, what extraction method do y'all use? And they're like, well, we can't disclose that on our website. I'm like, why? And they're like, we just can't. So they sent me an email with the information, and they use ethanol extraction. And it's like, this is a company that a lot of people are choosing to use. And I'm like, one, that's not good for you. And the bioavailability of it is probably awful. And so it's sad because these, not necessarily network marketing, but just sometimes marketing can really lead people astray. And people, I've learned, will do anything for money. Anything.
Yes, for sure. And I think it's great that people are able to utilize it to provide for their families. I don't know. I just feel like I wish the restrictions was a little there, especially anything health related.
I agree.
But I do appreciate, and I hope my listeners are reassured that like me and you both, Emily, are very like picky with what we recommend. And this is really big for me to recommend any type of product from an MLM company. I chose not to do wholesale. I'm just choosing to buy it. Just cause, but I mean, so whichever, way you can get it in wholesale or just buy it regular through you is what I do.
Yes.
So, I would love for you to share like where you get it, where we can find you, things like that.
So they're in the process of switching from an old website platform to a new platform. I have a ton of inventory with me now. I got a lot because it flies. People are like, I need this coffee tomorrow. So I have a lot at my house that I can send samples to people if they want to try it. On my Instagram bio, I have a samples highlight, and it's all the information for everything I have, how to, ask for it and inquire about it. And then I also have kind of similar to Beauty Counter, like a consultant style website where people can go and either purchase retail or wholesale. If they want wholesale, they can just reach out to me, and there's just a form they fill out that is the $49 fee. And then they'll have their own kind of online account where they can go and purchase and get products. And then they'll be added to the Facebook groups to get information from Dr. Bob and Dr. Ozzy, so they can be more equipped to share it with their friends and family.
Nice. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something about that. Oh, I highly recommend people to try the samples. I loved it because you kept it really affordable. I think it was like $5 or maybe $7 with shipping. I don't really remember, but I just loved it because definitely I would say minimum 2 satchels, because I feel like I felt the difference, and I definitely was willing to buy after that, because I was like, oh, this, I can like drink coffee because I miss the coffee taste sometimes. So I think the samples are a really great idea.
Just to let people try it. I know it can be hard to think, oh, I'm going to go in and spend $30 on something. What if I don't like it? So yeah, I'm more than happy to send anyone a sample of whatever they like, just to try it. Like, I know people will love it. And if you're going to drink coffee, why not drink healthy coffee?
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming back on today.
Thank you for having me. And I can send you links for your listeners if they need on how to find it, contact me, all of the above.
Sounds good.
All right, so good seeing you.